This is Onwards and Upwards, and welcome to the final video of running for COVID-19. So over the past month, we've gone on just over half a dozen runs. We're with our favorite tree here. The last one might be the longest. Today might be the longest, who knows, although there's a storm brewing. Last run was about 13 kilometers. Today we're going to try and do the same, but totally different direction. We're going to go down to Concordia University's Loyola campus, and we'll see how far we go because it is quite terrible weather. It's going to start raining pretty soon, but I think that's a good way to end this. I haven't mentioned this much throughout the series, but I've actually lost 15 to 20 pounds over the last month from a few reasons, but probably the biggest one is running a lot. So I was around 160 to 165 and now I'm 145. I don't really care too much about my weight, but I'm not complaining at all about that. The real thing that I've gained throughout this journey is seeing if I can overcome those boundaries that I thought I wasn't able to do. In the last run, I really saw that happening because that uphill run was intense. So if I could just inspire a couple people to do some exercise, then this whole thing would be even more worth it. So if you're thinking about going out, going on some adventures, do it, because this is your only life, and if you want to change something in your life, you do it now. Even running 10-15 minutes a day, that's better than I could do a few years ago, so make sure you do that. Oh, this is some inspirational music at this time. Anyways, let's get going here. It's about 6:30, 30th of May. All right, so we're starting the run here. It's drizzling pretty bad already, and I'm extremely exhausted. I didn't sleep well last night, and I think that because this is the last run of the month and of this series, I'll see if I can really push myself and at least get to where I want to go, if not further. But these weather conditions are rough. So I'm nearly at rue Côte-des-Neiges here. This is the main street near where I live, and it's a beautiful street. The problem is I live on the side of the mountain. Wherever I run is downhill on the way there and then big uphill on the way up. On the way back, that's really going to be the test. At this point, it's just a little jog. All right, so I'm here at St. Mary's Hospital, and I guess for a minute, let's just stop and have in mind all those struggling with COVID-19, and especially those medical workers who are handling it and doing the best they can. The wind is picking up, pretty strong wind. Still going down Lacombe here, this big hill. All right, so we're here at De Carry Street, which is a highway here in Montreal. Basically goes all the way through the city. High winds are really picking up, and it's actually really cold. It's a summer day, but it feels almost like a monsoon or something. You can hear that wind in the background. Oh, wow. Getting wet. Feels like the proper adventure to wrap up this series to me. Alright, so I decided to stop at this church, St. Malachy Parish it's called, because once I had a dream where I was in this white place, almost made out of white light, with a square courtyard. I was at the foot of the most powerful statue, and there were statues lined symmetrically all along this courtyard. I remember looking up, and I saw this powerful, sort of masculine mythological figure holding a staff and I think wearing a crown. And after it happened, I associated it with Odin. But there's actually the same representation here. I think it's something to do with Christ being king, because there's lots of representations here. And good timing. Just heard some thunder for the first time. The statue reminds me of the guy made out of tubes on those car commercials. All right. Gotta get that blood pumping. I think every act of surrender liberates the soul a bit more. So this is the entrance that I usually go in to go to Loyola campus, and most of my psychology classes are held in there. I find architecture like this awesome because you really wonder how the foundations support the weight of that place, for example. This is the Loyola Chapel right here. Some beautiful architecture here as well. Concordia University, Loyola campus. stepping into a puddle is a classic act of surrender. Concordia. This is something that Concordia would not usually do in my estimation. So it seems like when they're coming back, they're going to come back strong and make this place seem important. Nice to stop into the university. Who knows when it's reopening? Probably not till the winter of 2021, which is hard to even imagine. I'm gonna guess around 10% of students might drop out of university because of the pandemic. I might be off base there. All right, so I actually think this is the Loyola Chapel, and the other church is St. Ignatius Cathedral or something like that. This is some architecture that you could just take for granted and just walk past every day, but you know, I really appreciate it. I actually found it only the other day that this symbol here, the X with the P, is the Cairo, and that's a symbol for Christ. This is a good time to actually talk about why I did this, because the beginning of the month I was thinking about the channel, I was thinking about what I was going to do and what I wanted to do and what I could handle. A friend of mine named Jacob from Santa Barbara, California messaged me at the beginning of the month and was saying, I'm gonna run 7 miles a day because I want to run 100 miles this month. And he said, you should do it too. And that kind of inspired me a little bit. Also, check out these birds here. It's beautiful. Wow. We haven't ran 100 miles. We haven't even ran 100 kilometers. So I got a shout out to him for giving me that motivation to start, because starting is always the most difficult thing when it comes to exercise and basically any new activity. Also, Jacob has a jewelry company based in Santa Barbara, California. So I'll put the link in the description to his jewelry. Go ahead and buy some of his jewelry if you want. He makes some beautiful stuff. Emeralds and jade and sapphire and rubies and you name it. So before I end the series, the last thing I'm going to do is actually run to my friend's house on the way home and just drink a giant glass of water. Because if you remember from the last episode, we didn't have much success finding water. I did some planning because water is really essential in times like these. So I'm getting the beginning of a cramp here and my legs just really sore. So I'm going to do a bit of stretches and then keep going. Because it's all uphill, but after this I'll have the satisfaction of knowing that I pushed myself to my limit. I find this whole kind of structure very interesting, and this area of the city is also weird to me. It's quite alien. If I was Alex Honnold, I would just climb right up there, go to the top, get a nice view, but so far at least I don't have Alex Honnold skills. Also, it's interesting to look at the foundation of buildings as a metaphor for some psychological state. There's a plastic bag up there, because when terrible things happen, if you have a foundation, you'll be much better off than if not. That probably means community groups. It means certain belief structures that make you more resilient. Also being vulnerable enough to ask for help. All right, so I'm at my friend's place. Hopefully he left out some water for me. Ooh, this is really not the most ideal situation. Rainwater infusing in there and stuff. Ooh. All right, but I'm gonna take my chance here. So worst case, who knows what happens, but doesn't really look too appealing. There's some stuff swimming in there, and of course nothing alive. Cheers to dedication, motivation, and health. Well, if I don't collapse on the way home because of this water, then this whole thing was a success. Well, that's a sick car right there. All right, so I'm back at the Carey Street here on the highway. Absolutely tired. My legs are basically falling off. Last hill, I'm gonna go right up. I'm gonna show you guys that just to keep myself accountable, because otherwise I'd be stopping all the time. And even though I have this fatigue, I know that I can just keep going. When I get home, I got a cold bath waiting for me, so there'll be no worries here.
you.